let's talk about the nervous system. So the nervous system is made up of a couple of different components. The central nervous system is going to be the brain and the spinal cord. So that's just going to be the central part, right? Central for brain and spinal cord. And then you've got the peripheral nervous system. So the nervous system is all the other nerves in the body. So the peripheral nervous system is connected to the central nervous system. So, for example, you've got nerves that run down your hand, up your arm, your shoulder, and then connect into your spinal cord at your vertebrae. So your central nervous system and your peripheral nervous system are tied together. So again, central nervous system, brain and spinal cord, and then peripheral nervous system are all the other nerves in the body. Now, both of those systems are made up of neurons. So neurons are the cells that make up the nervous system. And you can see them over here. So this is a shot of an actual neuron. So you can see the central cell part of the cell. And then they have another structure that comes off of them. So here is the cell body with the nucleus in it. So that's the cell body right there. And then these nerve cells, these neurons, have another section that comes off, this long section called an axon. And then on the cell body, they have what are called dendrites, which look kind of like roots. And dendrite is referring to trees, so like tree roots. So dendrites are the part that are going to receive information from other neurons and cells. So that's why there are so many of them. They are reaching out and touching the receptors from other neurons or other cells. So these are going to be reaching out, and so you can see there's lots of branches going out on this side. So these are going to be all of these dendrites reaching out to touch incoming signal sections from cells, either from neurons or other cells. Then we've got the cell body. Like I said, I pointed that out. We've got the cell body that has the nucleus. There'll be other organelles in here, things like the mitochondria and so on. And then you've got the axon, this long guy that I pointed out here. The axon ends in these axon terminals, these little fuzzy guys, these little branches. This is what transmits the information to another neuron or another cell. And so this end section is what would then attach to the dendrites of another nerve cell if they're in a chain. So if we would then have another nerve cell, another neuron, I'll grab a pen. So the dendrites from that neuron would come and attach here. And then we'd have the cell body over here. Okay, so let me actually attach those. So neurons have those three main parts. Dendrites that receive the information from other neurons or cells. So the fingers on this side, the cell body that contains the main part of the cell, the nucleus and other organelles. The axon is the one that is then going to transmit the information, send the signal to other neurons or cells. So the thing is that there's not just one type of neuron. Now they're all pretty much designed the same way, right? Dendrites, with cell body, and then the axon stretching out. But what they're used for and where they're found is going to depend on what we call them. So we've got sensory neurons. Sensory neurons are going to, and this makes sense, right, carry messages from the senses to the central nervous system. So these are going to be connected. For example, you have sensory neurons in your fingers. So these sensory neurons are going to carry the information from your touch sensors to the central nervous system, your spinal cord. Okay. We have interneurons. Inter for in between, and these are just connector neurons. So these connect neurons to other neurons, because sometimes you can't run a neuron from, for example, your spine all the way to your toes. So you need to have interneurons to connect them one to another. Then you have motor neurons. So these are going to carry directions from the central nervous system to muscles or organs. So these are going to be sending messages out. So sensory neurons send messages from the senses to the nervous system. Motor neurons, motor for moving, are going to carry directions from your central nervous system out to muscles and organs in the body. Now, the type of system that those motor neurons go to depends. So we have two different types of nervous system that those motor neurons can trigger. We have what we call the somatic nervous system. These are the ones that control voluntary muscles. So those are the ones you see me using right now, right? I'm moving my hand, I'm talking, so I'm moving my mouth. Those are voluntary muscles. So right now I'm firing my motor neurons. I'm telling my brain what I want to say. My motor neurons are firing, and I'm using that somatic nervous system to be able to talk and move my hands. On the other hand, we have what we call an autonomic nervous system. These are going to control involuntary muscles and organs. So this section, this autonomic, auto for automatic, right? Auto meaning it happens on its own. So this is going to run the stuff that we don't need to worry about. So this would be like your digestive system, right? Your stomach and your intestines run on their own without you having to think about it. And so this autonomic nervous system is going to be run by these motor neurons. They get the directions to turn these muscles and organs on and off, or to run at a certain rate, something like that. Now you'll see the autonomic nervous system has two parts, because your organs or muscles don't always have to run the same way. And so sometimes you've got what we call the sympathetic division that gets triggered. These are the triggers basically for fight or flight. So your autonomic nervous system, if you have, a scare or you get a shot of adrenaline, basically, these are going to trigger your system to basically go into this fight or flight response, and we'll take a look at what that means. The parasympathetic division, this is your autonomic nervous system. These are the ones that are going to run in times of calm. So this is the system that's usually running. Okay, so parasympathetic, this is what's normally going on. Your sympathetic division is only going to get triggered in times of stress. So whenever you have some sort of stress going on, or a shock, something like that, then your sympathetic division is going to get triggered. So let's take a look at what happens with these motor neurons in the autonomic nervous system. So here is the autonomic nervous system for a bunch of different organs and organ systems. So parasympathetic division, this is what's normally happening, what's normally going on. And so normal parasympathetic division, For the autonomic nervous system, your pupils are going to be constricted. They're going to be normal size. You're going to have normal saliva production. Your bronchi, so these are in your lungs, are going to be constricted. They're going to be normal size. Your heart is going to be slowed down. It's going to be running at a normal speed. You're going to have your intestinal tract stimulated. So your digestive system is going to be running. So that way you can digest food and so forth. You're going to stimulate urine production, right? So that makes sense. And then you've got promotion of erection of genitalia. So all of these are normal everyday functions, right? However, if your sympathetic division of your autonomic system gets triggered, for example, this guy, he's being chased by bulls, which some people, go for, you get the opposite of these reactions. So, for example, instead of constricting your pupils dilate. What happens when your pupils dilate? Your eyes can take in more light. And so you are able to see at least more things like movement. Not necessarily focus more, but you have the ability to see more movement. You're going to inhibit saliva production. Don't need it when you're trying to run. Your bronchi are going to relax. This is going to allow you to pull more air into your lungs, which if you are running, you're going to need. Your heartbeat is going to accelerate. Why would we want our heartbeat to accelerate? That's going to pump more blood through your system, provide more oxygen for things like your muscles. This is going to happen right here. We're going to notice this is not part of the parasympathetic division. It's only part of the sympathetic division. And that is we're going to get a stimulation of epinephrine and neopernephrine. So basically, you're going to get a shot of adrenaline. And so this is going to trigger actually a lot of these reactions. You're also going to get glucose released from your liver. That is a huge shot of energy going out into your body so that your energy can start, your body can start processing it. Why? Well, you get an inhibition of your digestive tract. This takes too much energy and time. You're trying to run away or fight. You can't afford this. So instead, you're going to get glucose directly into your bloodstream. Your blood is pumping harder, so that gets out there with more oxygen, feeds those cells. And then you can see inhibition of urination and promotion of ejaculation and vaginal contractions. This is why people enjoy being scared, because this part of your sympathetic division gets triggered. So a lot of people enjoy this sensation of some of these actually being triggered. And this is why you get what we call adrenaline junkies, because they enjoy the side effects, basically, of the sympathetic division being triggered. However, this is actually a defense mechanism for us. All right, so I'm going to post this video on the lesson on how neurons work, and I will post another video of me walking through how they work, because we're going to look at action potentials and how the chemistry stuff that we've been talking about and the video on how materials move across membranes are related to how a neuron passes its message from one location to another.